Alright, so now we're looking at slopes of lines and equations of lines for today. So here we have our warm-up, covering what we did last time. We need to find the measure of angle 2. Angle 4 is 146. Angle 2 is a corresponding angle to angle 4, so that means that the measure of angle 2 is also 146. Number 2 asks us for angle 7, and angle 7 is inside, and it is corresponding to angle 5. Angle 5 is a supplementary, a linear pair to angle 4. So that means we need to subtract 180 minus 146, and that'll give us what the measure of angle 7 is. And it's 34. Okay, so now we kind of know what all the angles are going to be here. So now angle 10 is corresponding to 2, which corresponds to 4, which means that angle 10 is also 146. And angle 11 is a corresponding angle to angle 9, which is an alternate interior to angle 7, which means that angle 11 is congruent to angle 7, and that is 34 degrees. And then we need to add angle 11 and angle 6, so we know what angle 11 is. Angle 6 is vertical to angle 4, which means it's 146, and 146 plus 34 is 180. So the vocab for today: slope, rate of change, which is what slope is, slope-intercept form for an equation, point-slope form for an equation, and that's it. So here we have slope, y equals m is equal to the change in y over change in x. That's what this is basically saying. And we can also do rise over run for when we're looking at a graph. So we need to find the slope for this graph. So rise over run applies here. We don't need to know what those points are, even though we can, but so m is equal to rise over run. So our line here rises up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 over something, and it moves to the left, so it's negative 2. So 8, negative 2. And 8 divided by negative 2 gets us a negative 4. Let's do this again. Move another graph. Finding the slope. Rise over run. So our rise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we go to the right. So it's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 7 over 8, we can leave it like that because that does not simplify. So 7/8 is our slope. Okay, so here's another one. Rise over run. This one rises up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're already to P, so that's a problem. So that means our run is 0. So 7 over 0, you cannot divide by 0, so this is an undefined slope. Now our next one, still doing rise over run. Here we don't have any rise. we have a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 0 over 8. 0 divided by anything is 0, or 0 slope. So here are all the different types of slope. When I think of those two special versions, the 0 and undefined, I like to think about the letters, right? 0, the Z, has two horizontal lines in it. So I could take my line and write out the word 0. Same with undefined slope. It's also known as no slope. It's the same concept. So I used to do this for no slope. But you could also do undefined. The D, you do the last D if you wanted to. Either way, it works. Just helps to remember it. Slopes of parallel lines and slopes of perpendicular lines. Slope of parallel lines, they're congruent. They're equal to each other. And slopes of perpendicular lines are the opposite reciprocal. So if, for example, slope of one of them is 4, then our new slope is -1 over 4. So we need to find out if this slope is going to be parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So we're going to find the slope using the formula and decide whether it is congruent, if they are the opposite reciprocals, or if they are not any of those things, then it's neither. So slope is equal to the change in y, so y2 minus y1 over change in x, x2 minus x1. Now, typically I like to label them, but they really are hard to label these with them in the middle of the wording of the problem. So f is going to be our 1s, g is going to be our 2s. For our first slope, we have to do this twice. And then x2 minus, or y2 minus y1, or x2 minus x1. So this is for f, g, and for h, for j, h. So f is our 1s, g is our 2s. So the y for g is -1, and y for f is -3. So we add 3. X is -2, and x is 1. So that's 2 over -3. We can't simplify that any further, so 2 over -3, or -2/3. That's for FG. For HJ or JH, that's going to be 3 minus 0 over 6 minus 5. So that's 3 over 1, or just 3. These two compare. If that was a 1 instead of a 2 on the top, that would totally work out. But it doesn't. It's not an opposite reciprocal. They're not congruent for sure. So this is neither. So slope-intercept form and point-slope form of our equations. So slope-intercept form has exactly what it has in it: slope and the intercept, the y-intercept specifically. Point-slope form, you're given, or if you have the slope and you have a point, you can find the formula or the equation in slope-intercept form by simplifying down point-slope form. That's the whole point of point-slope form, is to make it to where you can get something into slope-intercept. You won't really have any problems that will say to leave it in point-slope form. It's really weird to leave it like that. I mean, I guess the only advantage in that is you can find another point, or one point that is on the line outside of the y-intercept. But with slope-intercept form, you can find where the y-intercept is. So here we want to find the equation of a line that contains point Q and is parallel to MN. So we need to find the slope of MN That's going to be our slope for our new line with Q in it. And then we use point slope form with Q in it and our new slope, or our current slope, and we'll have our new line. So first thing, we need our slope. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 we'll say is 1 for the n minus 4 over 2 minus negative 2, so it's plus 2. So it's a negative 3 over 4. That's our slope. And if you remember back from the last slide, point slope form says y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And our y1 x1 is going to be what q is, 5, or x1 y1 is 5, 1, what q is. So y minus 1 is equal to our slope, negative 3/4, times x minus 5. So we distribute the negative 3/4, and it's negative 3 over 4x, plus, because it's negative times a negative, 5 times 3 is 15. 15 doesn't divide evenly by 14, so we'll just leave it as 15 over 4. Then we're going to add 1 to both sides. So y is equal to negative 3/4 x plus, now, since we have a fraction here, 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 15 is 19. So 19 over 4 is our y-intercept, and we'll just leave it like that. There's our equation of our line that contains Q in slope-intercept form. Next question says, again, slope-intercept form. It gives us our slope, gives us our y-intercept. Super easy. It says to graph it. We're not going to do that. So, y equal mx plus b. Our m is 6. Our y, not our y, our b, sorry, is negative 3. So y equals 6x minus, now because it's a negative b, 3. And there's our equation. Super easy. Next one, we are given a slope and a point that we want to contain the line. We want it in point slope form, so we don't have to simplify it. So y minus y1, so 8, is equal to our slope, negative 3/5, times x minus negative 10. So that's really all it was asking for. But if we wanted to, we can simplify this down. And I want to. So we're going to distribute the negative 3/5. Y minus 8 is equal to negative 3/5 x minus, now because it's negative times a positive, 10 times 3 is 30. 30 divided by 5 is 6. Then we just add 8 to both sides. And y is equal to negative 3/5 x plus 2. That's what I wanted to find. It does say point slope form, but point slope form is kind of useless besides getting to slope intercept form. It looks kind of goofy to leave an equation with all that stuff that you could simplify it down. So here we're given 2 points, and we want slope intercept form, so we need to find our slope. Then we'll use point slope form, plug in one of these 2 points, it doesn't matter which one, and get it in slope intercept, simplifying it just like we just did. So our slope, 0 minus 9 over negative 2 minus 4. So negative 9 over negative 6, which simplifies to positive 3 over 2. So now we can plug this in to y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. We use either point as x1, y1, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use the negative 2, 0, just because it's going to be simpler. So I'm going to subtract a 0. For the y, and we're going to add 2 for the x. So y is equal to 3 over 2x, and 3 times 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So So really, you just cancel out the 2's. And that's it. Okay, so same thing we just did. We're going to take this equation with these 2 points, find our slope, get into or slope-intercept form. So 3 minus negative 7 over negative 1 minus negative 3. That's 10 over 2, or 5. So that's our slope. Y minus y1 could be either one. And we use the 3 equal to 5 times x minus negative 1. So we distribute the 5. Y minus 3 is equal to 5x plus 5. And we add 3 to both sides. Y is equal to 5x plus 8. A few more problems here. This one, exact same thing, one more time. This one's going to be a little bit different though, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So, slope is equal to negative 2 minus negative 2 over 0 minus 5. So negative 2 plus 2 is just 0. We have a slope of 0. So when we plug that in, y minus negative 2, so y plus 2, equal to slope of 0 times x minus 0. All the stuff on the right is going to cancel, and we're left with y plus 2 equals 0. So we subtract 2, and y is equal to negative 2. That's our equation. So the equation of a horizontal line is y equals b, which is what we just did, and the equation for a vertical line is x equal a, where a is the x-intercept of the line. Okay, so here we want to find the equation for a line perpendicular to this line given to us, and it goes through 0 or 2, 0. So for one, if it's perpendicular, we need to take the slope we have, 1/5, flip it, so it's 5, and make it negative. So our new slope, m, is negative 5, and we have our point 2, 0. So y minus 0 is equal to negative 5 times x minus 2. So y minus 0 is just y. We distribute the negative 5 as negative 5x plus 10. And that's it. One more example. This one's 2 parts though. First part, we need to come up with our equation for this specific apartment. It says the apartment charges $525 a month plus $750 for an annual maintenance fee. So the $525 is our slope. So in terms of A, that's going to be 525 times R plus 750. So that's our equation for this one. Now we're going to use this equation for the second part. This one says there's a different apartment. Well, it has the same concept, but now the rent, not Y, A is equal to 600 times the number of months plus only a $200 fee. So this is what we'll call A2. We want to figure out if A1 is 525R plus 750, which one's cheaper after an R of 12. So 600 times 12 plus 200 That comes out to be $7,400, or $525 times 12 plus $750, which comes out to be $7,050. So apartment 1 is cheaper. And here is your exit ticket. Just write the equation.